When it comes to classroom management or classroom leadership, as we like to say around here, it's the small things. It's the small changes that you make along the way as you grow in wisdom, as you get more years underneath your feet. You get better. You learn what works and what doesn't work, and you get to learn your students better because you've had past experiences. And when it comes to classroom management or classroom leadership, as we like to say around here, it's the small things that make a great big difference. You see, as time goes on, you get wise. As you get more years underneath your belt, you tend to understand more what works and what doesn't work. You learn and grow from your experiences. And to that end, I want to share with you your PD for the day, 4 subtle shifts that you can make in order to attain better classroom management results. Let's check this video out together.
Effective classroom management isn't just about enforcing rules and controlling behavior. It's about creating an environment where every student is engaged, focused, and ready to learn.
And let me stop right there. That's true. You're the architect of the environment. It's not about listing a bunch of rules of do's and don'ts. You're creating an environment.
And both teachers and students feel understood and respected. There's no silver bullet here. Research shows proactive classroom management requires a toolbox of different strategies. Here are 4 subtle shifts that can make a big impact in your classroom dynamics. Sometimes a nonverbal cue, like making eye contact or going to stand next to a student's desk, is all it takes to keep your classroom on track. A serious look conveys your intent to a misbehaving student and their classmates without disrupting the flow of a lesson. It might feel awkward, but try practicing your version of the look at home before using it in your classroom. Or create your own nonverbal signals and discuss with your students how you'd like them to respond to each one.
And I like that a lot. And I like specifically the point about working at home in the mirror on what your look is going to be, because it's important that you understand and you think about the impression that you leave on your students. Like, what are they seeing when they watch you work, when they watch you teach, when they watch you interact with other students? But yes, definitely, you need that look. If you see someone messing around in the back, but you're in the flow of this great lesson, you need to be able to look at that student and you see that one right there. Now, what I would do is I would use a stare, just like that, just like and then the student would kind of feel that, and then we've got full attention, and they understand that I want them to change their behavior. Now, that one was a little bit longer. Sometimes it can be just a quick glance, like there's an eyebrow. And then we can get back to doing what we need to do. But largely, a lot of that with the look, you can do that. You can do that, especially if you've put in the hard work of building the relationships. Because, with the look, what you're doing is you are kind of putting them on the spot just a little bit, and you need to be mindful of that. You need to know your students, because sometimes that can blow up in your face, because sometimes the student can just get mad and blow up thinking, oh, you're just picking on me. All of these other people are talking, but you're picking on me. But the look can be like a stare, like even a playful stare, like, come on, Johnny, come on, let's get this work done. I'm cooking up here. This is a great lesson. Come on, Johnny, come on, Johnny, come on. So that's a look. That's a familiar look. There's respect going both ways. Johnny knows that I care about him. Come on, Johnny. Come on, Johnny. Let's go. Or you can just be like a quick look, and we're getting back to it. And then I wasn't really big on the hand signals. I taught high school, and so I didn't use a lot of hand signals. But what I did like is I like the look. And I think what worked so well about it for me was that I poured into my students. I up front, I invested that time and energy. I went to sporting events. I did all of that stuff. And so they gave me permission to just politely, gently, I'm giving a look. Hey, I'm working up here. Let's stay engaged. Thank you very much. Now I'm getting back to this. They gave me permission to do that. And so you want the same thing for you and your students when it comes to using the look.
When you think of the challenges of classroom management, you might picture students being noisy and talking out of turn. But when it comes to class discussions, many students clam up. They may be shy, afraid to be seen as unintelligent, or simply not interested in the topic. And cold calling can feel confrontational and intimidating. To encourage participation and robust discussion, it's important to create an atmosphere where students feel safe to take risks. Build in time for them to think about their answers before cold calling. Use welcoming language like, "I'd like to hear some ideas." Over time, this encouraging approach can increase voluntary participation by 80%.
So I like the idea of giving that heads up that, hey, we're going to be doing some cold calling. And when I was in the classroom, I think they knew, my students knew that I wanted their voice in the room. Often told my students that, education, it's not a spectator sport. You're going to have to do something. When you come into this classroom, you are expected to be seeking something. We have a mission to accomplish. You see that learning objective on the board? That's your job. You need to do whatever you can in order to meet that objective. And I'm here to help. And so yeah, the kids, they knew they were going to be called on, but I like the idea of being intentional about warming things up before we get into the phase of the lesson where we're going to be cold calling. We're going to be asking random people questions, because I can remember, for me, I imagine a lot of, it's like when I was a student, when I was in when I was in Spanish class, like, I definitely didn't want to be called on. I wanted the teacher to just look over there. Don't look this way. Look over there. Those people, call on them, not me. And so I think definitely students appreciate, just give me a little heads up. And then too, to warm it up a little bit, like be inviting, be warm, make sure that you're, as always, putting in the time, investing in those relationships, and showing a little empathy and being tender when you need to be very tender, because for some students, there's just an extreme amount of anxiety that they feel when they know it's time to start calling on people. But I would say that it's good for those students to be called on, to get that practice so that they can defeat that anxiety and they can gain a victory. Even if they don't get the right answer, as teachers, we can always turn that not correct answer, we can turn that into something positive. And so definitely just be aware of that and be prepared to be able to do that. All right, here we go.
Let's face it, when it comes to student attention, it's tough to beat the allure of smartphones, tablets, laptops, headphones, video games, fidget toys, and on and on. These distractions can have significant negative effects on retention and focus. If your school allows, have students deposit their devices in a container at the beginning of class. If that's not an option, you can still create firm boundaries in your classroom. Come up with a signal, like ringing a bell, or turning the lights off and on. That means it's time to put their phones and devices away.
Now, largely, most states now, a lot of states now, they have cell phone bans. And so teachers, you are well within your right to do this, because it's widely publicized. A lot of people understand, they know about it, like this is happening. This is not a surprise. And so you have the backing of the government to really go all out and enforce this. And I like the idea, because prior to these politicians stepping in and buying into the new thing here, it's like, oh, we need our kids to pay attention in school, not be distracted. prior to that, I've seen this work a lot in terms of teachers just making a big show of it that, okay, now we're entering into the no phone, no distraction phase of the lesson. So if I need at this point, everyone, please, you can get up and put your phones on the shelf over there, or put your phones in a backpack, whatever. But students understand that, okay, it's at this time, this is what we're doing. I've seen that work. I've also seen it work. I've seen a teacher put like a piece of tape on when students were sitting at a table in this class. She would tape quadrants on the table, and that's where students had different quads, and they were able to put their phone right there in front of them, so that they could see it, but they understood that that's where their phone should be. And so it's worth the energy, it's worth the effort, especially if your administration is weak-kneed when it comes to phones. You're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to do it, because that distraction, even if that phone is just in front of the student, it's still distracting them. But if you could get it physically away from them just a little bit, then that's going to help your classroom management. All right, let's keep going.
And model good behavior by putting your own phone away too. How you say something can be just as important as what you say. What may sound authoritative to you may come off as authoritarian to your students.
And I want to stop really quick there, because it's a really good point. I have made the mistake throughout my time working with students, before I finally realized this, that it's in the how you say it. And if you say it incorrectly in an authoritarian way, as they so eloquently described it, that's on point. If you say it in an authoritarian way, that can really trigger your students, and then just things that are just blown up out of proportion, and then quite possibly, you're going to have to involve parents and the principal when it didn't have to be that way.
Finding your voice takes time and practice, but it's worth it. Speaking in neutral and positive tones has been shown to create supportive classroom culture.
Neutral, positive, but you got to be firm. You have to be firm. Do not let these children run over you. Remember, this is your classroom. You're the leader in the classroom. But definitely, as a leader, you work with them, you respect them, but remember, nothing is to interfere with the learning that takes place in the classroom. So yes, definitely neutral and positive, but please don't be confused. It has to be firm. You are the teacher, you're the leader in that classroom, and nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to interfere with the learning that is to be taking place in this classroom.
While a stricter approach erodes trust and discourages students from sharing important information. Aim for a calm yet assertive tone, which signals to students that you welcome their ideas while remaining in control. Managing a classroom of students is hard work, and disruptions will inevitably arise. But making small changes in how you approach challenging situations will help you transform your classroom culture and create an engaging learning environment for all.
So there you have it, just 4 simple things that you can do. And I like what it said at the beginning. We have a toolbox, and we know that we're doing our job when we empty out our toolbox. We use all the tools in our toolbox in order to manage our class. And if that doesn't work, we go and get some more tools, which is why you are here. And I thank you so much for your time. Well, that's it for today. Until we meet again, please don't forget that teachers are leaders.